2025 marks the 90th anniversary of the signing of the Social Security Act. Over the last 90 years, Social Security has paid more than $26 trillion in benefits, and today more than 66 million people rely on monthly benefits from the fund to support them in retirement. But as most people know, Social Security is facing some stiff challenges, and its ability to continue to make payments into the future has been a point of concern for many years. In this video, we're going to discuss the latest forecasts for Social Security. We'll talk about the Social Security Board of Trustees' most recent projections and their estimates of what it would take to provide financial stability into the future. We'll also talk about some best practices you can discuss with your financial advisor in order to maximize the benefits you receive. Social Security benefits are paid from a dedicated trust fund, financed primarily from payroll taxes collected on workers and their employers. Every year, the Social Security Board of Trustees issues a report detailing the activities of the fund for the prior year. In 2024, Social Security collected about $1.4 trillion in tax revenue and investment income. But because benefit payments and other expenses were slightly more than that, the fund had to dip into its reserves for an additional $67 billion. When you consider the trust fund began the year with $2.7 trillion in reserves, a deficit like that may not seem like much. However, 2024 was the fourth consecutive year where expenses exceeded revenue, and that deficit is projected to grow significantly in the coming years, as this chart shows. These continued deficits caused the reserves in the fund to shrink rapidly, and in 2034, the fund is projected to be completely exhausted. This projected depletion date is in line with past projections made by the board over the last decade. Once the trust fund is depleted, the Board of Trustees will have to rely solely on tax revenue collected from workers and employers to pay ongoing benefits. But because the projected future tax revenue won't be enough to support the benefits that have been promised, something will have to give. The Board of Trustees estimates that ongoing tax revenue will only be enough to support 81% of promised obligations in 2034 and beyond. So while an empty trust fund doesn't mean that benefit payments will stop, it does mean they'll have to be reduced. It's possible that Social Security beneficiaries could see their benefits reduced by nearly 20% within the next decade. Given this impact on retirees, there have been a number of proposed solutions to address this potential shortfall. There are a couple of broad options available to Congress to address this issue of the trust fund running out of money: increase the tax revenue that's collected, or decrease the amount of benefits that are paid. There are many ways to do each of these, and each year the board provides a couple of hypothetical options. Now, these aren't meant to be recommendations, but merely to illustrate the magnitude of the issue. On the benefit reduction side, the board says it would take an immediate cut of more than 22% to benefits paid to all current and future beneficiaries in order to maintain solvency. If the reduction were limited to just those beginning benefits in 2025, the cut would be increased to nearly 27%. On the other hand, Congress could choose to increase the amount of payroll tax collected. Today, both employers and employees each pay a 6.2% tax on the first $176,000 of wages paid to an employee, for a total tax of 12.4% on those wages. Self-employed individuals pay both halves of that tax. If an immediate and permanent adjustment were to be made today, the payroll tax would have to increase by 3.65%. If the tax increase were deferred to 2034, the year the trust fund is projected to run out, the increase would have to be 4.27%. Congress could also choose to implement a combination of these, pairing a smaller tax increase with a smaller cut in benefits. Beyond these options, there are many other things that Congress could consider, including extending full retirement age, increasing the amount of payroll subject to the tax, changing the way the trust fund is invested, or many more. Whatever option is ultimately chosen, one thing is clear: the longer Congress waits to take action, the more drastic the measures are going to have to be. Given the uncertainty over the future of Social Security, retirees may be concerned about how best to maximize their benefits. To help with this, it's best to understand a few key terms about how benefits are paid. To begin with, full retirement age, or FRA, is the age at which you can receive your standard benefit. For anyone born in 1960 or later, full retirement age is 67. If you were born before 1960, you'll reach FRA sooner, depending on the year you were born. Regardless of FRA, beneficiaries have options on when they choose to start receiving benefits. Retirees can begin receiving benefits as early as age 62, or can delay them to as late as age 70, or can pick any start date in between there. The date you choose to begin benefits will affect the amount you receive, however. For example, a retiree reaching full retirement age at age 67, who starts benefits at age 62, will see their annual payment reduced by 30%. On the other hand, delaying those benefits till age 70 will mean a 24% increase in your payment. There are a number of factors to consider when choosing when to begin receiving benefits. For example, those who take benefits early often cite a need for additional cash flow, or the desire to have those benefits when they're younger and healthier and can enjoy them more. On the other hand, those who choose to delay benefits often appreciate the larger payments they receive later in life, and it can also mean a larger payment for a surviving spouse after the death of the worker. Life expectancy is another often cited reason for choosing when to start benefits. Generally, if you expect to live into your early 80s, you'll collect more over your lifetime by delaying your start date as long as possible. But there are also other factors to consider, such as when you stop working, the impact of Medicare, and how best to coordinate benefits between spouses. Because there are so many variables when it comes to Social Security, it's best to review all of your options before committing to a start date. Fortunately, your Baird financial advisor can help develop a benefit strategy and incorporate it into your total wealth plan. Together, you and your advisor can revisit your financial goals, your projected longevity and other considerations, and then leverage powerful tools that can look at a variety of options for both single individuals and married couples. We can then see how those strategies affect your overall wealth plan. So reach out to your Baird financial advisor and request a Social Security analysis. We especially encourage those who are approaching age 60 to begin developing a strategy towards Social Security. We look forward to working with you on this important aspect of your financial plan.